This is the shore at Leith, and it's pretty busy but peaceful today, but it hasn't always been like this. Before the rise of Glasgow in the west of Scotland's great port and the connection being completed between Edinburgh and London on the railways in 1847, this was Scotland's international arrivals lounge. Everybody who was anybody who wanted to do anything came here, and they came by sea. You could come on the overland coaches. You could get one up from London. It wasn't a very good idea. It would take maybe 4 or 5, maybe even up to 7 days, could be even 10. You're stuck in this wee box on wheels coming up through some very, very bad roads. If you're poor, you're sitting outside on top. If you're rich, you're sitting inside. But remember, there's no buffet car, there's no toilets, and your other passengers may have a very relaxed view of personal hygiene, may indeed even be flatulent. It's beginning to look as if sitting outside might be a better bet. So you came by sea, you came by ship here. And one of the best ships to do it on was a wee ship called, with no irony whatsoever, this being Leith, a Leith smack. Now these wee ships were great. They were comfortable, they were quite fat, they were stable, and they would bring you up from London, possibly stopping at Berwick, because why not? And they would get you up here. And when they sailed, they had pianos on board, some of them, so that they could entertain the ladies. You had leaflets so that you could see landmarks as you sailed past regally. But when the ships came in, when the little smacks came in, they were the ones who got cleared flight plan. They just came in walloping in under full sail. Everything had to get out of their way, and they caught you up there. And that's when you were disembarked. Those were the peaceful people coming up in Victorian times. But before that, whoa, some of the arrivals did not have Leith's best interests at heart. Now, who do we think is at the top of the pole of people who would like to wreak destruction upon Leith? Well, the English. I know, it's a cliche, but it's true. Sometimes you feel that the English sat around on a Tuesday afternoon and said, why don't we burn something Scottish, like Scotland? 1544, Henry VIII, you may have heard of him, big, large, much married. He has a son, Edward. Scotland has an infant queen, Mary, Queen of Scots. Henry thinks, great idea, marry the two together. Scots are keen. So in order to impress upon the Scots how important this is, he sends an army up to Scotland to burn and destroy and generally wreak terror upon the people of Scotland until they agree to the engagement. They don't. The rough wooing of 1544 is a complete disaster, but they do cause a lot of damage in the interim. The next bunch of people who have a bit of bother here at Leith, believe it or not, are the French. 1548, 1560, they're held in siege down here. A siege, 12 years, it's not a lot of room, you know what I mean? And they're besieged by the Scots and the English. Yes, that's right, they've come together because they both decided they don't like the French. They're all trapped down here, just in the shore area. It's said that they eventually are forced to eat their horses. It's said that they turn to cannibalism. But they are French, so I imagine they did something nice with Jacques, probably involving wild garlic, before they finally dispatched his bones. It's what he would have wanted. Eventually, Mary of Guise dies in Edinburgh Castle, and everybody shouts, keys, the French can go home. In order to celebrate this newfound moment, they decide to have a bit of a beach party. So the Scots and the English and the French will turn up with, a little bit of something to eat. So the English turn up with roast beef and ale, and the Scots turn up with mutton and wine, and the French turn up with roast rat on a stick. Very much appreciated. And then we come to perhaps the most surprising one, really. The Americans. 1779, John Paul Jones, father of the American Navy, sails up the River Forth and threatens the port of Leith. He wants money. They need money for the War of Independence, you see, so Benjamin Franklin has sent him to get some. So he's going to threaten Leith, and they've known that this attack has been coming for a while. So don't please think that the Leithers are panicking. Actually, they are a wee bit. But they come up with a stratagem for warfare that I don't think's ever been replicated again. What they do is they build a giant scaffold and they hang wet sacking over the side of it and pretend it's a giant rock. And I think the idea is they'll all hide behind it and go, shh. Don't make any noise. He won't know that we're here. He does know that they're there. Because John Paul Jones isn't even an American. He's from Scotland. He's from Kirkcudbright. He knows where Leith is. However, they can't attack Leith because a storm blows up and it pushes them back out into the open sea. That's where the Royal Navy jumps them, including a ship called the Serapis. These two ships have a right go at each other, an amazing battle at sea, a right ding-dong, goes on for ages. Wooden ships can fire into each other for absolutely ages. They're just basically wooden gun platforms. Eventually, La Bonne Homme Richard, John Paul Jones's ship, is so badly damaged, she's going down like this, the cannons are actually pointing up, and the captain of the Serapis, being, I like to think, a well-brought-up young man, says, "Sir, would you like to surrender?" To which John Paul Jones fires back his famous message, "Sirs, I have not yet begun to fight." I like to imagine he says it in a kind of Glasgow accent, actually. Somehow, in the heat of battle, John Paul Jones manages to get off his sinking ship and onto the Royal Navy Serapis. And somehow, he manages to seize the Royal Navy warship, sails it back to America, and gives it to the American Navy. Which means the Americans owe us a warship. And I want one of those nice, big, shiny ones, not one of those second-hand, crappy ones, right? So it's a wonder that the shore's still here. I mean, we haven't even gone into the destruction done by Zeppelins in World War I in Commercial Street. Good heavens. It's a wonder it survived.